Simply perfect filling. Your perfect watercolour, perfectly flat and perfectly framed. Just imagine, no more disasters like this. No more warped or cockled finished works. No more worrying whether the paper is wet, is properly prepared, and no need for expensive boards or heavy papers. No more frustration before you even start to paint, and certainly no more messy gum tape. A dream? No, but it certainly feels like a dream working with Ken Bromley's perfect paper stretcher. A quick, easy to use, perfectly flat surface produced every time. We guarantee that whatever watercolour paper you use, from £90 to £140, you will have perfect results every single time you use the board. And it's simple to set up and very, very quick. Richard will now demonstrate. First of all, soak your paper for 4 to 5 minutes for £140 or 2 to 3 minutes for £90. Remove from the water and place on a clean surface. Place the board face down on the paper. You'll notice an overlap of 3/4 of an inch all round to trap the paper. Now place the towel over the surface and press down lightly to remove air bubbles under the paper and excess water from the surface. Bend the paper over the edge of the board and then nip all 4 corners with the finger and thumb. Holding the board and paper, stand the board on its long edge. The board comes with 4 flexible plastic rods. These are used to grip the paper in the groove all round the edge of the board. Place the first longest rod on the paper over the groove at the edge of the board and then using a wooden mallet, tap the rod into the groove, trapping the paper. Then turn the board over and this time hold the paper between your finger and thumb and pull very lightly in order to create tension across the board. This time, as you tap the rod into the groove, the paper is being physically stretched as it is being forced into the groove. The beauty about this is that you are not just relying on the drying process. Being held in tension, it also tightens more when it dries, enabling the painter to have a perfectly stable flat surface no matter how wet the wash. Continue to tap in the rods on the shorter sides using the same process of holding the paper with your finger and thumb while trapping the rod into the groove. This is very easy to do. Once the paper is fixed on the board, you can let the paper dry naturally, dry quicker on the radiator, or faster still with a hairdryer. This way, it's ready to use immediately.
Previously, I used the old gum paper method, and the results were appalling. By using the board, I've gained confidence, and I know that each time I place my paper on the board, that the whole thing is going to work. There's no way I will go back to the old method. I know this method works, and I'm very, very happy with it.
Removing the paper is just as simple. Remove the gripper rods from the grooves by levering out at the recess points at each corner. Pull the rods out by hand along each side.
I was serving in the army in the Second World War after leaving art school and working in commercial art, and I still wanted to do the odd painting, but unfortunately materials were in extremely short supply. I could only get fairly cheap paper, and certainly gum strip tape disappeared. I think it was used largely to cover windows to stop the bomb damage. So I got this idea of a board and trapping the paper around the edges of the board, and I had a product made, the original product I still have. And then after the war we decided to exploit this principle commercially.
When the paper has been released from the grooves, simply lift the stretcher board away from the paper and trim the edges of the paper using a rule and blade. Use the straight indentation marks left on the paper as your guide. Whether using 140 pounds paper or lighter 90 pound paper, you will get the same spectacular result every time, making the finished work perfect for mounting and framing. The perfect paper stretcher is available for use with 3 paper sizes: full imperial, half imperial and quarter.
Well, as an artist, I like the stretcher board because the wet on wet technique that I prefer to do means that you have to put a lot of water onto the paper, and the stretcher board keeps the paper totally flat and it doesn't warp at all, so it makes the end result, you know, when the paper's dry, really nice and flat and easy to frame.
Whatever or wherever you choose to paint, the perfect paper stretcher is for you. Ken Bromley's perfect paper stretcher is the easy way to stretch watercolour paper. It's simple to use and it saves time and saves money. We guarantee you will have a perfect drum-tight surface every time in less than 5 minutes. And remember, it stretches £70 to £140 paper.
Today we think we produced the perfect product. Good looking product made of wood, will wear for years and is already in use by thousands of satisfied artists.